before COVID-19, when was the last time you heard pandemic preparedness be a thing discussed in presidential debates or prime ministerial debates, or uh, uh, shown on the highlights from um, Prime Minister's Question Time, or any of these kind of major platforms? And that's not just politicians not caring about these big issues, because if anything, a lot of politicians, Obama, for example, was very good about global pandemic governance, because I don't want to like simp for Obama, but he had a greater appreciation of the areas where government is very important that people don't widely recognise, of the things that you don't get thanks for when you're president, but you should nevertheless do, because it's very important, and the kind of things that we hire, or that we elect representatives to deal with on our behalf. But the fact that we don't put a lot of pressure on them, the fact that uh, at any question and answer session, the main questions being asked will be about important, certainly, but nonetheless less big scale issues, like taxes, like the economy, like immigration, all these issues which are worth fighting for and are worth thinking about seriously, and so on and so forth. But other than climate change, there aren't many real big picture, kind of global risk issues that get widely discussed in everyday politics. So what I really wanted to kind of get across and communicate, which maybe I didn't do a great job of, is that we should be bringing this into the same kind of thought space as climate change, and we should be accelerating it, because whereas with climate change we have been perilously slow to act, and we have sat around ignoring the issue for decades, with engineered pandemics we may have even less time to act, and it's an even more kind of pressing but complex technical issue that we nonetheless need to try to engage with and try to spread the message about. So, when I say we need more international cooperation, what I'm trying to get across is we need to pressure our representatives and discuss in the media and take seriously things like Trump pulling out of the WHO. This is a massive, massive problem, um, both from the point of view of the kind of the everyday issues of global health, but also from the broader big picture issues of health security and not all dying in a pandemic. Um, and yeah, Golden here says getting climate change in the debate has been a challenge, still is a challenge. It absolutely is. Getting people to even care as much as they do now about climate change has been a massive uphill struggle, and one that I don't want to detract from. It's a couple of people in chat was sort of going, no, no, climate change is the only issue. Fuck you for talking about it. Maybe not fuck you, but kind of characterizing how they seem to be reacting, which I can kind of understand, because we've had to put so much effort in to just getting this far with climate change. It's understandable to kind of be protective of it and not want to have other issues muddying the waters. But this issue is, I believe, at least as important as climate change from pretty much every perspective. And getting that across without detracting from other big picture issues like climate change is, and it's something that I'm currently struggling with to communicate, because there's the ongoing protests about criminal justice reform, and obviously following the killing of George Floyd, and it would be it would be both bad optics for me and, more importantly, kind of callous and cruel for me to be like, yeah, it's just kind of like one person, and yeah, there's a lot of discrimination, but we're talking about the end of the world here. Can't you just pay attention to the end of the world? This is the most important issue. It's the only thing you should pay. That's not a good idea for all those issues, for all those reasons. So I still want to continue posting about and talking about this absolutely vital issue of us all not dying, but I don't want to do it at the expense of other important issues that people care about and people are emotionally invested in for perfectly legitimate reasons. And when you get the range of responses from um, obviously this is true, why don't why are we even talking about it, to this isn't at all a problem, why are we talking about it? It's difficult to find a messaging strategy in there, um, especially when given the comparison to climate change. For a few decades, I would say, one of the big problems climate change activists had was that they were all seen as, you know, granola munching, hemp wearing hippies from Greenpeace who, didn't care about anything but hugging the whales or whatever. Um, and a small part of that was true. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of Greenpeace for various reasons, but that was an unfair characterization that was in no small part perpetuated by companies and governments and individuals who had a vested interest in the climate change issue not succeeding and not getting widespread attention. So I am concerned that we'll encounter a similar barrier with communicating other existential risks. And already with AI, it came up in the chat a lot and generally comes up anytime you discuss AI. There's this idea that it's a bunch of Silicon Valley bros who just want to jack off over uh, their own machine learning ideas, and they are completely out of touch with reality and so on and so forth. Which again, it's not like that characterization is completely baseless. As someone who has quite a lot of friends around like Silicon Valley and in academia and so forth, there definitely is a bit of that kind of culture. But if we start just equating any attempt to take seriously the risks associated with AI with dumbass Silicon Valley bros who are up, heads up their asses or whatever, then we miss a lot of the very real concerns that are associated with this field. Real concerns that